Good morning, viewers. You're watching Republic TV. This is a quick morning with me, Kriti Mehta. Now, in this show, we bring you stories from across the nation, around the world, from the worlds of sports, business, and entertainment to set the tone for your day. First off, we'll start off stories from across the nation this quick morning. Union Home Minister Amit Shah unleashed a blistering critique of the Aam Aadmi Party government in Delhi, labelling it a 3G Sarkar, an acronym for scams, infiltrators and scams. Now, Shah, who addressed a gathering in Muzaffarpur-Based, expressed confidence that the BJP would secure a landslide victory in the upcoming Delhi elections slated for February 5. He urged voters to reject the AAP and elect the BJP to power. The union minister claimed that the Aam Aadmi Party leaders, including Manish Sisodia and Arvind Kejriwal, were aware of their impending defeat and were therefore resorting to desperate measures. He cited Sisodia's decision to change his constituency as evidence of their growing unease.
दिल्ली में 3G की सरकार चल रही है। 3G का मतलब मालूम है आपको? मैं बताता हूं, ठहर जाओ। पहले G से है घोटाले वाली सरकार, दूसरे G से है घुसपैठियों को पनाह देने वाली सरकार और तीसरे G से है घपले करने वाली सरकार।
And a complaint was filed against Congress MP Sonia Gandhi before a court in Bihar's Muzaffarpur district on Saturday for her remarks on President Droupadi Murmu. Now, Sudhir Ojha, a Muzaffarpur-based lawyer, filed a complaint against Sonia Gandhi seeking registration of an FIR against her for allegedly disrespecting the highest constitutional authority in the country. Ojha also named the leader of opposition in Lok Sabha, Rahul Gandhi, and Congress MP Priyanka Gandhi Vadra as co-accused and sought legal action against them. The report of the Joint Committee on the Waqf Amendment Bill 2024 is slated to be presented in the Lok Sabha tomorrow. According to the list of businesses, Jagdambika Pal, the chairman of the Joint Parliamentary Committee on the Waqf Amendment Bill, along with the BJP MP Sanjay Jaiswal, will present the report of the Joint Committee. And the Supreme Court will hear a PIL on February 3 regarding the Prayagraj Mahakumbh stampede. The petition filed by lawyer Vishal Tiwari demands a status report on the incidents and action against responsible officers. It also calls for facility centers for non-Hindi speaking visitors, restrictions on VIP movement, and the installation of display boards in multiple languages to prevent confusion. The petition further urges states to provide pilgrims with updates via mobile and WhatsApp and set up medical help desks to assist visitors during such scale events. The court's decision could enhance safety measures for the religious gathering. And UP CM Yogi Adityanath on Saturday met the victims of the Mahakumbh stampede at a hospital. He inquired about their well-being and directed the medical staff to provide them with the best possible care. 30 people were killed and 60 others were injured during a stampede in the Mahakumbh early on January 29. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath also directed the district administration to ensure the safe return of the injured to their hometowns. And in a massive counter-terror operation, security forces have launched anti-terror operations at 5 locations across the Poonch and Rajouri districts of Jammu and Kashmir. This comes a day after an infiltration bid was foiled in Poonch in which 2 terrorists were killed. The Indian Army, CRPF and Suranpot areas of Poonch district as well as in Manjankot and Chaudhry Nar area of Rajouri district. Security forces have intensified search and combing operations in these areas to eliminate terror threats. Now, moving on, 8 Maoists were also killed in an encounter with security forces in Chhattisgarh's Bijapur yesterday. The gunfight broke around 8:30 a.m. in a Ganglur police station area and search operations were still being carried out. District Reserve Guard, Special Task Force, Cobra 202 and CRPF 22 Battalion are involved in an anti-Maoist operation that was launched on Friday after receiving information about the presence of armed Maoists in West Bastar Division.
हाँ, बीजापुर जिले के गंगालूर में नक्सलियों के साथ मुठभेड़ में नक्सलियों के 8 शव बरामद हुए हैं। ये हमारे सुरक्षा बल के जवानों की एक बड़ी सफलता है। मैं उनके साहस को सलाम करता हूं और हमारे सुरक्षा बल के जवान उत्साह के साथ लड़ाई लड़ रहे हैं।
And in a series of independent and joint operations in January 26, the BSF Tripura frontier has apprehended 14 Bangladeshi nationals and 2 Indian touts involved in illegal cross-border activities along the Indo-Bangladesh border. Additionally, BSF seized a substantial amount of narcotics, sugar, cattle and other contraband items with an estimated value of Rs 2.5 crore. And Manipur Chief Minister N. Biren Singh on Saturday said that his government is fully committed to fencing the borders, identifying new immigrants and eradicating drugs from the state. Speaking at a public interaction program at Kumbi in Bishnupur district, he said that the state government is committed to ensuring that there is no further disturbance to the future generations. And our viewers, Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman announced the Union Budget 2025 yesterday. Let's take a quick check of some of the stories from the business world today. The government has introduced a new tax regime that ensures zero tax for incomes up to Rs 12 lakh under the new slabs. Under the latest income tax slabs for financial year 2025 to 26, incomes up to Rs 4 lakh is tax-free. For earnings between Rs 4 lakh and Rs 8 lakh, a 5% tax rate applies, while income from Rs 8 lakh to 12 lakh is taxed at 10%. The next slab covering incomes from Rs 12 lakh to 20 lakh is taxed at 15%, and any income above Rs 20 lakh falls under the highest tax bracket of 30%. At first glance, it seems like someone earning Rs 12 lakh should be paying tax under the 10% slab. However, thanks to rebate under Section 87A, the actual tax liability turns out to be zero. And in a key announcement during Budget 2025, the Finance Minister announced that individuals earning up to Rs 12 lakh annually will now be exempted from income tax. This also aims to reduce the tax burden on the middle class, leaving more money in their hands for consumption, savings and investment. The Finance Minister stressed that the government has consistently raised the nil tax slabs over the years. This announcement will bring immediate relief to the salaried class, particularly those earning an average of Rs 1 lakh per month. The Finance Minister also mentioned that the standard deduction or Rs 75,000 for salary taxpayers will bring the tax-free threshold to Rs 12.75 lakh. And in a bold move aimed at simplifying India's income tax regime, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman announced during the Union Budget 2025 presentation the introduction of a new income tax bill. This reform is set to significantly streamline the current tax laws, making them more accessible for both taxpayers and administrators. The new income tax bill is designed to be more concise and user-friendly than its predecessor. Highlighting a shift in approach, the Finance Minister emphasized a trust-first, scrutinize-later policy. This strategic pivot aims to build trust between taxpayers and the tax department, fostering a smooth compliance process while ensuring robust scrutiny when necessary. And Nirmala Sitharaman, while presenting the budget, announced key reforms in the financial sector aimed at boosting growth, investment and global competitiveness over the next 5 years. These reforms cover critical areas like insurance, pensions, foreign investments, company mergers, and KYC simplifications. Nirmala Sitharaman said that FDI limit for the insurance sector will be raised from 74 to 100%. This enhanced limit will be available for those companies which invest the entire premium in India. And in a budget presentation, Finance Minister also announced the launch of the National Manufacturing Mission, which is aimed at boosting India's manufacturing sector and driving economic growth. The National Manufacturing Mission seeks to strengthen the country's industrial base by fostering innovation, encouraging sustainable practices, and enhancing the global competitiveness of Indian manufacturers. And among multiple announcements in the budget, the Finance Minister also said the government is launching Pradhan Mantri Dhan Dhanya Krishi Yojana. Finance Minister called it Developing Agri Districts Program. She added that the scheme will be executed through the convergence of existing schemes and specialized measures. The program will cover 200 districts with low productivity, moderate crop intensity, and below average credit parameters. And a big move to support the growing electric vehicle sector in India. Nirmala Sitharaman in the budget announced an exemption on capital goods for lithium-ion battery production. This exemption aims to reduce the cost of setting up production facilities for lithium-ion batteries, making it more affordable for manufacturers to invest in the necessary equipment. And now let's move on to take a look at some of the top headlines from across the world in this segment. Several Arab nations have hit back at US President Donald Trump for suggesting that Palestinians should be relocated from Gaza to neighboring Egypt and Jordan. The countries, including Egypt, Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Qatar, released a joint statement rejecting any plans to move Palestinians out of their territories into Gaza and occupied West Bank. The Arab statement warned that such plans threaten the region's stability. The statement followed a meeting in Cairo of top diplomats, as the leaders further said that they were looking forward to working with Trump administration to achieve comprehensive peace in the Middle East based on two-state solution. Following various attempts by Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni and her government to detain migrants from the country, an Italian appeals court refused to approve the expulsion of 43 asylum seekers detained in Albania under a controversial migration deal to move the proceedings beyond the European Union's borders. Lorenzo Truccio, who is the president of Italy's Association of Jurisdictional Studies on Immigration, praised the decision but was concerned that it was only a small step to protect migrants whose basic rights are being increasingly overlooked. In the past two cases, judges similarly refused to approve the expulsion of much smaller groups of migrants, in both cases seeking clarity from the European Court on which countries were safe for repatriation of people whose asylum claims are rejected. Last year, Italy signed a 5-year agreement to process up to 3,000 migrants a month beyond the European Union borders as part of Meloni's program to combat illegal migration to Italy, which is the first landfall for tens of thousands of migrants who make the perilous journey across the central Mediterranean. And tens of thousands of protesters gathered in central Seoul in support for the foreign against South Korea's impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol. Parallel demonstrations were held in the South Korean capital after Yoon became the country's first leader to be indicted less than 2 weeks after he was the first to be detained. Staging a massive rally, Yoon supporters demanded his immediate release from a detention facility and called for the Constitutional Court to dismiss his impeachment case. Meanwhile, another mass gathering of protesters voiced its opposition to Yoon, urging the courts to remove him from office immediately and punish him for the December 3 martial law decree. Yoon has steadfastly denied any wrongdoing and says his declaration of martial law was a legitimate act of governance meant to raise public awareness of the danger of the liberal-controlled National Assembly, which obstructed his agenda. And former German President Kohl passed away at the age of 81 following a short illness. Kohl was the head of the state from 2004 to 2010. The former leader was little known before his one-time bid as the president. He was elected at the time when Germany was struggling to come to terms with labor market reforms and welfare state cuts. Kohl resigned in dramatically abrupt fashion on May 31 in 2010. Citing criticism over a radio interview he gave following a visit to German troops in Afghanistan. Before rising to the presidency, Kohl had a long record as an efficient behind-the-scenes official. Starting in the early 1980s, he worked for more than a decade in the finance ministry under Chancellor Helmut Kohl, who once called him a treasure and relied on him in economic diplomacy. And following a grueling couple of months in captivity, 6 American nationals who were illegally detained in Venezuela have finally returned to their homeland. Their release comes following Trump's envoy for special missions visited the country. Around 10 Americans were held captive in Venezuela before the Trump administration took over. According to reports, the US is set to give Venezuela some concessions in exchange of the prisoners. Venezuela has also agreed to accept detained illegal immigrants from the US to be sent back to the country. And Egypt's long-shuttered border crossing with the Gaza Strip at Rafah reopened for the evacuation of thousands of Palestinians in dire need of medical treatment. The breakthrough signaled that negotiations towards extending the current ceasefire between Israel and Hamas were gaining traction. A group of 50 sick and wounded Palestinian children were among the first to be allowed through. Israeli troops remain at the Rafah crossing and in the Philadelphia corridor, a band of land running the length of the border. Negotiations on the second phase of the deal, which calls for a permanent ceasefire, full Israeli withdrawal from Gaza and the release of any remaining hostages, are supposed to begin on January 3. Israel has resisted the notion that PA would control post-war Gaza.
Nobody is permitted to stay unless he has a permission for a specific reason. And the reason of these people to move to the Egyptian territory is to be cured in the hospitals, to help them, and they will go back to their countries.
And the US military conducted airstrikes against ISIS operatives in Somalia. The strikes were directed by President Donald Trump and were in coordination with Somalia's government. An initial assessment by the Pentagon indicated that multiple operatives were killed and that no civilians were harmed in the strikes. Trump took to social media platform Truth Social to threaten the ISIS of severe consequences if they continue terrorist activities targeted towards the US. The office of Somalia's President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud said the operation reinforces the strong security partnership between the two countries in combating extremist threats. Welcome back, viewers. Let's now bring you stories from the world of sports, from news on Sachin Tendulkar to the Ranji Trophy match against the Railways of Delhi. Stay tuned as we bring you all these updates right here. Sachin Tendulkar, whose batting records and impact on international cricket have stood the test of time, was conferred with the Colonel C.K. Nayyaru Lifestyle Achievement Award. The 51-year-old Tendulkar, who played 664 international games for India, holds the record for the highest number of Test and ODI runs in the history of the game. Australia and UP Warriors captain Alyssa Healy has opted out of the upcoming edition of the Women's Premier League due to stress injury to her right foot and was non-committal about her future beyond the ODI World Cup in India later this year. Healy has captained UP Warriors in each of the first 2 editions of the WPL, with the third one set to be held across 4 venues in Vadodara, Lucknow, Bengaluru and Mumbai from February 14 to March 15. And Jammu and Kashmir did not take the field at the start of the third day of their ongoing elite Group A Ranji Trophy clash against Baroda, alleging that the pitch was tampered with overnight to favour the home team in Vadodara. This is as per a report. Jammu and Kashmir alleged that the pitch was tampered to help the home team Baroda force an outright win to ensure qualification for the quarter-final stage, and play was held up for 1 hour and 20 minutes in the first session. And Australia defeated Sri Lanka by an innings and 242 runs within 2 minutes of the Australian women registering the historic 16-0 whitewash over England in Melbourne. The men's team handed Sri Lanka a drubbing in the first test at Gale. In the Gale test, the Aussies made the fixture a no-match one. They overcame the weather threat to streamline Sri Lanka in the match that effectively lasted only 9 sessions. Delhi beat Railways by an innings and 19 runs as they got them out 414 in the second innings. Shivam Sharma picked up a 5-wicket haul for Delhi, while Sumit Mathur was awarded the player of the match. And Shardul Thakur and Tanush Kotian grabbed 4 wickets each as rampant Mumbai stormed to an innings and 456-run win over Meghalaya to top the Ranji Trophy Elite Group A clash. And India fast bowler Mohammad Shami has congratulated Riddhiman Saha for leaving an indelible mark on the game of cricket after the wicket-keeper batter retired from all forms of the game. Former India batter Ambati Rayudu has backed the struggling Virat Kohli to discover and rediscover his mojo and urged fans to not resort to excessive criticism. Kohli's Ranji Trophy return this week after 12 years was amidst a massive fanfare in his hometown for Delhi against the Railways. A major security lapse occurred at the Firozshah Kotla ground in a mad rush to get near Virat Kohli as 3 over-enthusiastic fans barged into the field of play on day 3 of the Ranji Trophy game between Delhi and Railways, despite a large presence of security personnel. And let's move on to our last segment of this quick morning. These are stories from the world of entertainment. Stay tuned. A rare Mercedes-Benz Silver Arrow racing car has fetched an eye-watering 46.5 million euros at an auction in Germany. The lucky winner bid by telephone during the auction, which was organized at the Mercedes-Benz Museum in Stuttgart. The sleek and streamlined W196R dates from 1954 and is one of only 4 fully preserved models believed in existence. According to Mercedes-Benz, the Silver Arrow on the block was put through its paces by 2 famous racing drivers in the 1950s. Juan Manuel Fangio won the Argentine Grand Prix in Buenos Aires with the car. British racing driver Sterling Moss completed the fastest lap of the race in the car at the Italian Grand Prix in Monza. The museum plans to use the proceeds from the auction to renovate its facilities and to expand its collection.
It had been in a very prominent museum in the U.S. For the last 60 years. It's one of 4 in this body style. It's the only one that'll ever come to public auction. Another one is in a museum in Austria, and the other 2 are actually owned by Mercedes-Benz, so it was a kind of once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
And the Grammy weekend has officially begun in the United States as colorful dancing bears take over the cocktail bars and musical performances begin across the country. Now, in its 35th year, the dinner and auction raised money for programs and services supporting musicians in need, with an emphasis this year on helping those affected by the recent wildfires in Los Angeles. The Grammys are scheduled for February 3 as the competition continues getting tougher with each passing year. And the world's most popular TikTok personality, Khaby Lame, has joined UNICEF as a Goodwill Ambassador. 24-year-old influencer who has over 162 million followers rose to fame with charming videos of his reactions to everyday life in which he never says a word. His following surged through the pandemic when he was fired from his factory job and used the extra time to make and upload more videos. Lame's appointment to UNICEF came at the end of a 4-day visit to Senegal, where he met children and young people who are driving positive change in their communities. And the 2025 Spring Festival Gala, hosted by China Media Group, has received warm praise from local media and the public after being broadcast for the first time in both Ethiopian national television and South African airport. Numerous residents in the Ethiopian capital of Addis Ababa were fascinated by the spectacular performances staged during the gala while watching it with their families. This year, more than 2,900 media outlets in over 200 countries and regions broadcast the Spring Festival Gala live and covered the event. And that's a wrap on this segment of Quick Morning. But stay tuned to Republic. We bring you news from across the nation and around the world.